Welcome back everyone, Static here, and in the last episode, if I'm being honest, I was a bit of a tease. My bad. But today, I'm going to make it right. So we're not going to spend a huge amount of time down here today because we have spent a lot of time on the skeleton farm already. But I did want to quickly showcase a few of the features because I kind of skipped over that last episode and a lot of people wanted to see the redstone and see the upgrades in a bit more detail. So I thought we'd start here today. So I've got to say this farm has been working really well so far. It's really helped me a lot already. So as you can see, I'm already sitting on 38 levels. I've done a bunch of enchanting already. I've got a few books sitting here. Got a few extra tools that I've made along the way as well as upgrading the tools that I've got on me. And you'll see I've got a looting 3 sword as well, which is great. I'm already starting to get wither skulls. This here is all of the wither skeletons that I've killed with that looting sword. There's a few of them, and this little montage here takes a little bit of time, but honestly that wasn't that many wither skeletons, and I've already got a wither skull, my first one for the series. So very, very soon I'll be able to take on the wither and build my first ever beacon, and that's all thanks to this skeleton farm here. Now, the first and most obvious upgrade that I've made is the second killing chamber. Now, I did this because with just one killing chamber and with mob cramming in Minecraft now, it wasn't building up a lot of skeletons, and skeletons don't give a huge amount of XP compared to something like blazes, for example. So by building a second killing chamber, that means I can double the amount of skeletons that build up, and so that really speeds up the amount of XP that this farm generates. So you can see weighted pressure plates, and you'll see I'm not going to get that pressure plate back now. I swapped out the hoppers here for a full block because with the hopper underneath, when the skeletons were standing on top, because the weighted pressure plate would be sending a signal, the hopper would lock and the items wouldn't go anywhere. So that wasn't working. I've replaced it with hopper minecarts underneath the block. So when the skeletons get sort of close to mob cramming on the pressure plate, that sends a redstone signal of 3. By that point, mob cramming hasn't quite kicked in yet, but that's good. I don't want it to kick in right away. And so when the redstone line reaches a signal of 3, you can see it goes into a block here on both of the killing chambers, and that goes through to a repeater, which just basically picks up the signal and plugs it into this super simple old school RS NOR latch here. So basically how this works, when a signal comes from here, it'll set this side of the RS NOR latch, which basically tells the system this side is starting to cram. And so if this side is powered, as you can see it is now, the system will actually switch to dropping skeletons down the other chamber until this one reaches a level of 3, and that'll flip the RS NOR latch and then flip it back to sending skeletons to here. So eventually you will get mob cramming build up, but that's essentially tells you when it's time to harvest the skeletons. So you can see the redstone line comes up from one side of that RS NOR latch in this slab tower here, right to the top. I did need to extend the slab tower about halfway, which is a little bit fiddly, but not too difficult. And then once the signal comes up to the top here, this is the mechanism for switching which kill chamber the skeletons drop down. So it's fairly simple. You can see at the moment there's a fence gate, that's an open fence gate I should say, that's pushed out in front of the water, which stops the water from flowing at this point. And it's kind of tough to see, but the ground's been pulled out there. The cobblestone block there's been retracted by the piston below, and that allows the skeletons to fall down. When that RS NOR latch that we saw before switches, you'll see that the fence gate retracts and the cobblestone block extends, allowing the skeletons to pass through to that further chamber there. So I do also want to add an extra thing in this spot here. So when this line is powered, I want to have a piston extend this block as well. And the reason for that is that if I'm working on the spawn pad below and breaking blocks and they fall into the water stream, if the water stream is full like it used to be, the items flow through the system just fine and I collect them okay. But at the moment, with the second killing chamber activated, the items in the water stream, they come out of here with a lot of speed and they clear this gap and land on this block here and they despawn. And I don't want that happening. I want to retrieve all of the items. So I think just simply by extending this block when the system is in this configuration, I think that'll fix that issue. So all we really need to do, for what I'm thinking, we'll chuck another piston in here and need some dust. We'll pop a bit of dust on that. That didn't work. Mostly what Redstone is about is just figuring out solutions to the problem that you're wanting to solve. So you can see, even if I try and extend this line out this way and bring it to this piston, it still does the same thing. If this one's extending, this one's retracting at the moment. And that's because you can see at the moment the redstone is pointing towards the piston. And if I place this here or where it was before, the redstone curves away from this piston. So I can solve this problem with the same redstone line if I place that redstone where I've got it. And if I pop a block on top, that should work. Excellent. Now whenever items flow up this stream, if they drop into the water system and the killing chamber is in this configuration, the item should hit this block and fall down into the system just as it was before. And now if we switch the RS NOR latch, which I'm going to do manually downstairs, that should have now switched the system so that, yeah, it's in the configuration where skeletons would be able to just flow past and fall down that hole there. So that worked really nicely. So I do have some ideas for improving this design as well, and I do have other skeleton spawners that I've found, so we'll see what happens in the future. So I've got this lever not really hidden here, but that might move the spot for that one, but opens up an access port near the piston door. I think that's actually really cool that it opens up right where the 3x3 piston door works. Now, and it doesn't affect anything either, having the redstone access here. So the redstone access is a very, very simple circuit. Torch on the wall behind that lever, and that powers a piston. Super simple. I wanted to show this as well. So we did have some jams at this point in the system that I showed in the last episode. I figured out what was going wrong. Really, really simple fix. Thanks for everyone who suggested a fix to the system, but I'm just missing a block. That's all that was wrong there. I did actually remove this block intentionally, thinking that I didn't want the skeletons getting stuck like with their head on that block. But turns out that was actually the issue. If the skeletons are stuck on that block, their feet are going to stay in the water stream down there, and the water stream is going to push them into that water elevator. So now, when we turn the system on, we have no jams whatsoever down here. Perfect. So really, really quick fix. I like quick fixes. So from the redstone access down here, I mean, you can see the redstone for the 3x3 piston door. It's a 1 block wide design, really, really slick design. I like it. I'm not going to talk too much about this though, because at the moment I got no idea how it works. I just put it together from that mumbo jumbo tutorial that I mentioned in last episode. So check that out if you want to. I'll pop the link in the description again. And so these two diorite blocks here are the button for the water system and the lever for the maintenance access that we've got around the front. With the redstone torch here, you can see it sends power up into that block, powers that redstone dust, and I invert it with a torch here so that the signal is typically off and pulses on whenever I hit the button. This redstone repeater is just to extend the signal a bit further into this redstone line. And these repeaters, they send the signal into this block here, which powers the dispensers there. And then it also sends the redstone through that block down into this redstone line that you can see there. And the redstone line powers the pistons down below. So as you can see, with the one button press, every second block there's a dispenser that shoots out a water bucket, and every other block there's a piston that extends. And the reason for the piston extending there, look, it's not 100% necessary. I could have just had a row of dispensers. I wanted to save on dispensers and also do something a little bit fancy. I was celebrating the fact that I now have slime and sticky pistons. So what happens here, because it's every second block that there's the dispenser, if just the dispenser retracted the water block, there'd still be water blocks every other block. So they would reform the water because of the infinite water mechanics. So when we hit the button, the pistons extend and destroy every other water source, but the dispensers retract one water block each. And so then that way they extend, dispense their water, the water fills in the extra blocks, and it extends. That probably made no sense. So yeah, it's a little bit unnecessary, but I like the system. I think it's quirky the way that it works. And so I like being able to turn off the water because, you know, if I'm not using this farm specifically for spawning the skeletons at the time, like at the moment I'm filming an LP episode in it, the flowing water noises can be quite obnoxious. So I like to be able to turn them off in the farm. I might in future even make it so that all the other water sources turn off as well when I turn that water off. I think that might be a cool feature. But then I've also got the spawn pad access, which this is a slick little circuit. I like this. It's, again, mostly unnecessary. I'm not very often going to need to come up into the spawning pads here. Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, I'd say. Plus, again, I just wanted to celebrate having those sticky pistons. So the lever is controlling quite a number of things all at once. So you'll see this is just a simple piston extending and retracting a stair block. But here it's a double piston extender. So it's just extending that one block there, but it extends it 2 blocks and retracts it 2 blocks. And that's what allows me to get in and out of the system. And then you can see another piston that extends and blocks off the water and doubles as a stair. So what I did there, I just recessed the water block by 1, and then yeah, there's a piston that extends and retracts. So very, very simple, but very effective and clean looking little circuit. I really like it. So this really small circuit here, first time I've used observers, I think I'm really going to like these blocks. They're really, really cool. But this little circuit here with these observers is that double piston extender that you saw before. Crazy how small we can get double piston extenders now with these new blocks. So for this one, the redstone, as we saw before, there's the torch up there, which sends the redstone signal down to this torch. And you can see at the moment that's all extended with this redstone line on. But when we flip the lever, this line turns off, that piston retracts. This observer sees this line turn off, and that sends a pulse into this repeater. So the repeater powers this piston, and this observer sees the repeater get power, and it powers another piston that you can't sort of really see. Which is, yeah, just tucked in over there. Can you see that? Right there. So you can see the piston arm tucked in there. And lastly, there's the lighting. The lighting is what controls the spawning of the skeletons. Just 4 redstone lamps around the room. So there's the 3 that we can see, and then there's the 1 in this top wall here. So this is the block that lever is on. You can see it powers this redstone torch, powers this line, which wraps around up here, just goes to that central lamp up top. So that's how that one works. And then you can see here, as I mentioned earlier, I've replaced the hoppers with hopper minecarts. The rail was actually really important. If you remove that, the hopper minecart can't take the item through a full block. And then you've got it sitting on top of a hopper, which funnels items into a dispenser here, or a dropper, I should say. Both minecart hoppers and the hoppers there feed into the one dropper to increase the speed that the dropper fills up with items. And then you can see there's a comparator that detects any time there's items in that dropper, which again, I've used observers here. Again, really, really cool block. Really like these things. But so it sends a signal to this observer who gets power. And because the power is going into the observer, it also powers the piston, which pushes the observer up, and they get into a loop of staring at each other and recognizing that they keep updating, and so it just sets up a clock which shoots items out of the dropper here. But you can see at the moment that I've just got the items funneling into this temporary chest down here. I do want to get, I need to get some packed ice and extend that water stream a little bit, and then up there, so behind these dirt blocks, I've actually got the storage upstairs. So this is where I'll have like a water stream, and we'll funnel the items into some sort of sorting. But that leads me to the topic of today's episode. As I say, we're not going to spend too much more time in the skeleton farm here now. Today, we're going to be focusing on storage, because at the moment, storage is probably the biggest issue I'm facing in this world. Those chests you saw down there, they're full. This is completely full. This is mostly full. I've got one block of space in there, and up on the surface my chests are pretty much in the same sort of shape. So I definitely need to get some storage going, as well as finish the storage in the skeleton farm. But for that I'm going to need a lot of wood, because I don't think I've actually got any aside from maybe these planks on me at the moment. So we're going to head up to the surface and get some wood. Now you can see I've also moved the ladder and installed the water elevator here, which I think this is really cool. So we've got the down part of the elevator here, and we've got the up part of the elevator here. And I put a clock by the elevator as well, so I can see what time of day it is. And there's a wandering trader. Let's check this guy out. Yeah, nothing really that I want. Podzol I haven't seen, but I'm sure I'll find some in my world. Thanks, mate. So the ladder that we used to get up and down from was here, and I've moved it back to, or the elevator now back to here. And you can see I've built a little bunker. This is probably pretty temporary. I'll fancy this up at some point, maybe. I don't know. Does the job. I can see around me, make sure there's no creepers that are going to ruin my day, and then I can leave. And then when we're entering the Skelly farm, you can see I've just got this diorite block here. So we need to make sure it's safe, and then we hit the button. And I like how we end up with a view of the future spider farm here as well. For collecting the wood though, I don't want to just chop down the trees that I've got here around my base. I actually like the amount of tree cover that I've got here at the moment. I don't have a tree farm set up currently. So what I want to do instead, last episode, as well as getting slime, we found some locations around the world as well. We found a couple of villages. I found a flower forest. We found a whole heap of beehives. So between episodes, I spent quite a bit of time traveling back and forth between my base area here and the villages that we found, trying to familiarize myself with where they are, because there's some forests in between here and there that make it a bit hard to navigate. So I actually want to clear some of those forests as a way of building up the wood that we need for today's episode. And so I decided to plan out a bit of a path, because at the moment I don't have a Elytra to travel around. That's one of my big goals for this series. So in the meantime, the best way for me to travel around is on horseback. So I want to make a really nice path for horse as well. I'm thinking we'll actually have the stables and have the horses come out somewhere around here and head out in this direction. So if we head through this way, we come to a big wall here. I want to actually make a bit of a tunnel, because on the other side of this wall we have a really nice view of the warm ocean and then the sunken ship down there, which, you know what, I think while we're here I might actually explore that real quick. I've got my rebreather helmet on, so I can breathe underwater and stay under there quite a bit. There's a dolphin which might give me a speed boost if we're lucky. That would be nice. And I really like the new swimming mechanics in Minecraft. I think this is really cool. Thanks for the speed boost, buddy. Let's have a look around for some chests. Right away, oh, nice. Beautiful treasure. Would be nice to find like a treasure map as well. Hopefully find some diamonds. That'd be really cool. My air is getting a little bit low though. Even though I've got the helmet, it's no substitute for water breathing. Buried treasure map, very nice. Now I'm going to take these chests as well, because I'm going to need to build a lot of chests in today's episode. So if I can save on crafting some, that would be really nice. I like that this ship's upside down. I think that's really cool too. Add some variation. And yeah, it doesn't look like there's any more chests around the ship. I could be wrong. And I am very quickly proven wrong. What do we got here? Projectile protection, curse of vanishing, mending, like that. Cool. My inventory though is filling up very quickly already. Got some carrots as well. That'll be really nice. I don't think I've got any carrots yet. Maybe one. I think I might have found one. But yeah, that'll be nice to start a farm. Suspicious stew. Don't think I want that. And we'll take that. Can't forget the chest. Alright, so that was really cool. I've been wanting to explore that ship for quite a while, ever since I first saw it from up on the mountain. Aren't you a good horsey? Waiting for me all patient-like. So from this point here, the path will sort of take a 90-degree turn and head in this direction. So there's some trees here that I'll want to clear as well. Make a nice path. Not a huge amount of trees in this spot though. And then we get to where I'm going to put a bridge. Now again, I'm going to clear this tree and put a proper bridge here. And then, ooh, fox. Nice. Probably come around this way. I really like this overhang. I'm thinking I might do something on the other side of this that'll look pretty cool. And then I want to have another bridge here, so a diagonal bridge this time, add a bit of variation. So that diagonal bridge would take us over to this spot. And from here, I want to head down this way, down around this little lake, which I'll prettify at some point. And then we've got this huge forest. So if I go diagonally through this forest, we actually end up right at the village. So if I get up on top of the mountain here, you can sort of really see the scale of what I'm dealing with. So down there is the lake we were at before. Here is the first lot of trees, and over diagonal that way is the village. So there's some sort of cool terrain along the way, but it's all obscured by these trees. And then we've got the flower forest over there. So rather than going diagonally through that way to get to the village and then also diagonally through here to get to the flower forest, I think for the path for the flower forest, I'm probably going to take either a path somewhere around these mountains. I think there's some cool waterfalls through here. Be careful, horsey. And either that or through the river down here. I think a river path could be really picturesque, and that would be really befitting of a path to the flower forest. It'll also be really good to get some bees or some honey today as well. So yeah, that's the plan.
It's difficult to change our ways, our patterns. Often we become habituated in certain ways of reacting to stresses or different events that become conditioned responses, conditioned reactions, I should say. Once we become mindful, we recognize that there may be some choice and we can begin to respond differently. This is very empowering about mindfulness. It's actually an incredibly beautiful life goes on.
And you can see I've got a huge amount of wood now for our storage system project today. Tried to keep the path through this forest a little bit winding, but with some sights along the way, like some rivers and lakes and whatnot, and another diagonal bridge here. So I think that'll keep it interesting, make it, especially when I pretty it all up and make it all look natural. Be a really nice horse ride out to the villages. And I also saw this. You can see across the river some vines and stuff. It turns out there is actually a swamp biome around here. I just missed it when we were out exploring. We were that close to slime, but I mean, you know, with a swamp, it doesn't spawn slime very frequently anyway, and it's only like during certain moon phases. Yeah, what I came to this village for is campfires. Now I need to make sure I use the right axe, because apparently I can pick these up, but I do need a silk touch axe. There's another couple around here. The triplets grew up, and the village idiot's still in his barrel. I don't think that there's any more campfires out this way. I think that's it. Cool. Alright, so we need the campfires for the next resource that I'm going to get, which is another thing that I experimented with last episode. And oh, there's another campfire. I'm going to snag that as well. Completely failed, and that's the beehives. Okay, so we're back at the lake where the path is going to fork, and so it's going to fork over this way to go to the flower forest. And there's a bit of a cave up ahead. This looks really janky at the moment. I'm definitely going to do some work on this, but it's going to look really good when it's done. So the path up here is going to start to get pretty spotty, and then at this point I think we're going to have a rope bridge, so go from this point over to the cliff side over there. Now at the moment, again, it's all very straight edges. I'm going to sort of blend it in later on, so it's just like there's an overhang with the cliff face there. But yeah, definitely going to put a rope bridge. I think that's going to look really cool. At the moment you can just get across by horse, across like this. And yeah, I had a wandering trader visit me while I was building this path out this way. I think this is all going to look really, really cool once it's been roughed up and made sort of more natural. And then out here, I'm going to come down the path this way. It's a bit of a steep drop off the edge here, so we're going to have the path loop around and then go down a bit of an incline here. And then out to the flower forest. But yeah, so that's the path. Now it's obviously night time, so I'm going to go back the way I came before any nastiness spawns. I'm going to sleep away the night, and then we're going to grab some bees. We've got a beehive, and I wouldn't be surprised if I could see several more around this. Now that's already dripping with honey. I think I need a bottle to grab that. I am going to give this a try, and I'll get up right close just in case the campfire destroys the item. Cool, we got a bee nest. And that one also looks to be full of honey. So hopefully that means the bees are inside. Oh, he was inside. Now I do want to get the bees, so I'm going to make sure that they both jump back into the hive. Wait for him to grab his pollen. Come on, buddy, you can do it. There you go. Alright, so now we do the smoke. Now I don't know if I need to wait for anything, or I'm just going to grab that. Total bee location. Move a bee nest with 3 bees inside. Sweet. Alright, so we've actually got some bees now. Alright, my inventory's full, so I think that's going to do. I'm going to head back to the base, and I'm going to see if I can get honey out of these things. So let's give these bee nests a try. So there's plenty of flowers here. I reckon the bees would be pretty happy here. And I made myself up some glass bottles, which, ow, okay, so apparently they don't like it if you take their honey. Good to know. That seems like a good spot for the beehive. And got the campfire, use a campfire, collect honey without aggravating bees. Cool. So for some reason I was thinking that I needed honey for the storage system that I'm going to install down here in the skeleton spawner. Now that I think about what I want to do, I don't think I actually need the honey blocks, but it'll be good to have them. I'm sure I'll find a use for them in future. But I finally want to get the storage finished here at the skeleton spawner. So right now the items are funneling into that chest down there, and I need to manually take them out of the chest and bring them up into the main lab and manually sort them. So I want to set up at least a basic sorting system. So we've got the bones in this chest and arrows in this chest. Those are the main stackable items. So I think this is going to be the first port of call for our sorting system. And I think the rest of the items are going to funnel into here. It's most common that we get bows. So we'll have bows first. every now and then armor will flow into this chest as well, and then I'll just pick that out manually and then sort that into these chests here. Okay, so I think the way we're going to start it, we'll start with the hoppers and everything up here, and so I think we'll have one hopper facing into that chest, and then we'll have the hopper on top just facing into that block. I don't want it actually facing into the hopper next to it, because the items are going to flow along the water stream along the top there. And so that one I want into there. So this is for bones, this is for arrows. And so then what I'll want is a block on the back of these and a comparator coming out of these. So this is going to tell us when the items that we're expecting flow into the hoppers here. And so we're going to get a signal out of these comparators. We're looking for a signal strength of 3. So we'll have 3 redstone dust like that. And it doesn't really matter if these connect up. That's not going to be an issue in this particular design for an item sorter. But we do need to get repeaters down here to grab out the signal. We'll whack a block on the front of those, and then redstone torches there. So these redstone torches powering this block, they're going to lock this hopper, so nothing's going to flow through this hopper at the moment. And I fell down a hole. And that's going to happen until the signal in this line reaches 3. And so what we need to do is then, we're going to need to grab, fell even worse. What I was saying is I'm going to need to grab a few bones. I'll grab a stack of bones and a stack of arrows. Now with the arrow chest here, you can see that this top one has already filled up. This one's starting to fill up. This one's not filled up yet. Whereas with the bones, I've got bones and then bone meal and then bone blocks. So with the bones, I think that's as far as I want the hopper chain to go. But with the arrows, I think I want to bring it all the way down. And so then that will mean that the bottom chest starts filling up next. Okay, but now that I've got the items there, I need to set up the filtering. So you can see I've named some slabs, and I'm just going to pop one into each spot in these hoppers. And they're a named slab so that if any time a cobblestone slab falls into the system, it's not going to fill up these spots here because it won't have the same name. So what we can do then is we pop bones in here. Now that'll filter down until it gets to 40 or so items. I think it's like 41, maybe 42. Yep, 41. Okay, and so then it stops. So those 41 items plus I think one more in this hopper here are going to stay stuck in the hopper. That's okay though, because I mean with these items you can see already I've got a huge amount of bows, huge amount of arrows, huge amount of bones. So it doesn't really matter if some of the items get stuck in the system there. Then we're going to have the rest of the items flow into that hopper there. And I think just for sake of symmetry, we'll pop that hopper there as well. Okay, so now I just need to block in this area so that we can put some water down. I need to punch out this block here. And I'm going to pop a block there as well. This is going to be a bit precarious, but it will work. Okay, so that is now our hopper system set up. That's where we want to get the items to. We'll have a water stream somewhere here. Let's see if I dig down. Where does that bring us? Yeah, we can make that work. So what I'll need to do is extend the water stream, which I'll do with packed ice so that the item can keep flowing on. And we'll just pop a slab there to stop the water from flowing backwards. And we've got plenty of dirt. We'll just use dirt for now. Okay, let's see if I can do this. Yeah, almost. Oh, almost had a bit of an accident there, but this is a good idea with your redstone builds. Leave some gaps or some holes in the ground, because then that way if you're building with water, the water will choose to go that way instead of towards your redstone. That could have been very bad. Well, that was a little bit silly of me. I'm going to need to move this water stream one block back, unless I want to go washing this redstone away, of course. There we go, that was pretty easy. Alright, so now all I should really need to do is pop in a water stream there, hope nothing leaks. And yeah, so it's reaching all the way to the last hopper. Even though the water doesn't flow all the way, that'll work for us. The item will drop off in there. And soul sand. And that should be now an item sorter. Let's give it a test. Get a huge amount of XP. Not huge, decent amount. Most of those items will get picked up by the hoppers. Some of them fall onto the stairs here, but I can just pick them up and chuck them onto the hopper minecart. And now they should all be getting funneled into the system. Guess we're going to find out. So I rearranged the arrow chests. Arrows are flowing in. That's a good sign. Bones are flowing in. Excellent. I don't think that chainmail helmet was there before, so that looks like that's working as well. You can hear the hopper system struggles when it gets towards the end because the ejection system is too fast for the actual hoppers feeding into it. So when you've got two hoppers feeding into it, it keeps up just fine and you don't get this constant mechanical sound. But yeah, if it's just the one hopper that's feeding into it, you do get that sound. It's a bit annoying. Usually it doesn't last quite this long. There we go, all done. But yeah, so that looks like that sorting system is now sorted out. That didn't use up too much wood though, but you can see I've crafted most of the rest of the wood that we harvested today into chests, and that's going to be for my bulk storage back in the base in here. And I'm going to be filling the walls with chests for storage. Just bulk storage for now. I just need somewhere to store a whole heap of items. Obviously he's going to need to move because I'm going to need to get access to here. And I think we're going to finally put in a door as well. It's long overdue. So I'm going to move the horse up to the top and I'm going to get started on the storage area. And so I started by clearing a decent amount of space out in the base cave, and looking at the amount of space that I've cleared and the area that I've got here, I think I want to place the chests on this back wall about as high as I can reach and all the way to the edge there. So just bulk storage for now. And I've started planning out the cave entrance that I want to have for the base here. So I do want to keep it as like a cave and then have a bridge coming across from that hill over there and some sort of like a hidden redstone door somewhere into the base. I've already edited the footage I've got so far though, and the episode's already pretty long. So this is going to have to do. And I think that should do the trick pretty well. You know, I thought I might have overdone it when I was when I crafted up all those chests and I had like 2.5 stacks. And you know, I may have overdone it, but you know, I'm not going to run out of storage anytime soon. And I think that looks like a pretty decent storage system to get us started for the series. And the door, super high-techy tech. Between episodes, I'm going to make some minor changes around here, but nothing huge. Like for instance, the ladder for the slime farm here, I actually want to move inside the base so it's a little bit more secure. And that's actually going to work really well with where the slime farm is positioned. Because you can see at the moment with the ladder, we actually land on the slime pad. But back that way was the base cave and the door that I just made. So yeah, putting the elevator for this inside the base is going to be pretty easy. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that. But that's going to do it for today's episode, everyone. Except for the buried treasure. I bet you thought I was going to forget the buried treasure. I almost did forget, to be honest. But I got a Heart of the Sea, some prismarine crystals, and some other goodies. Nice. So I hope you enjoyed watching today's episode as much as I enjoyed filming and editing it. And I will see you all in the next one.